Well, welcome back to the garage. Today, what we're going to start working on is a food cart. It's not my food cart. I might be finding my way into a niche, but this food cart here was purchased by somebody who hit me up to make some repairs. A while back I did the snow cone trailer, and that's what kind of led me to this food cart now. But basic things that we're working on is a new floor, because as you can see, the previous owner has done a couple of DIY installs on some stuff, and apparently these carts have to pass inspections. So we're going to be making some modifications. Floor, talking about a battery box over here, and then on this side, because one thing these carts apparently have to have is hot water in the sink for hand washing, and I guess it has to be a certain temperature. And the way this cart was set up before is this is your water line here, and it just passes near the burners. So, and I guess it doesn't get hot enough that way to pass the inspection, so we're gonna put one of the propane instant hot water heaters over on this side. The other thing we're gonna work on is this wheel. Likes to make contact with the ground when they're towing it, because you can see the trailer sitting pretty flat level right now, which is how you want to tow it, but this wheel's on the ground and it's not removable, so we're gonna end up making this caster removable. And what we'll do is make it so you can pull 2 pins or whatever and then just flip it upside down, so the caster's up here and then you can still hook it up to your vehicle. But it's nice because it's got this caster here, and then we got these handles back here, and this cart is, I mean, it's light enough, it's super mobile, so I'd like to be able to keep that caster for them, just in case they end up having to push this thing through a park or whatever the case is. Probably do some cleanup on the propane lines, because that goes through here, which is also the drink cooler, and then to the back right there, which makes it pretty much impossible to hook up another propane device. So one thing I'm thinking about is some rigid like black pipe underneath with a couple of quick connect fittings. That way this water heater here can tie in if they end up wanting to put like another little another burner up here. And in addition to the grill here, they can put a burner up here and just run it down to the quick connect on the black pipe. So what we're gonna end up doing is pulling all of these bolts. There's 2 under the fender, in each corner. I have to make sure I can get to them still. Mostly the front one, but these bolts here, like I said, there should only be 4. That front corner is going to be the hard one, but probably hit it from underneath with a impact. But anyway, do that. Drill out all these rivets here along the bottom edge, and then we're just going to lift the body off of the trailer, leaving the floor behind, and set the body down on the ground over here, and then refloor the trailer with some nice new aluminum, a little bit thicker than what's on here. This looks like some galvanized, probably just galvanized steel, real thin stuff. And there's only a rear cross member, a middle cross member, and then the front. So anything you'd put in here heavy-wise would, I mean, you can see the floor is just not very strong. So we're gonna put a little something heavier duty, or something a little more heavy duty in here to replace that. But let's get started pulling this body off. All right, so these corner screws that I was referring to on just like a structure on the inside of this, it's like 1 inch by 1 inch aluminum, comes up, goes across the top, and they've got little feet welded onto them, and they're screwed into the steel frame with self-tapping screws. So there's no nut down here. I was hoping I could just hit with an impact and it would just have enough resistance, friction at the top, that I could get it off, but they're self-tappers, so we ended up pulling that off, and then we're going to pull this front panel as well, and then we can get to that self-tapper, and that self-tapper will be easier. So sometimes if you can't use a punch to knock them out, like just punching some of these out, but what you end up having to do is get a drill bit that's the same size as that hole, and then just drill these out. Alright, so we're inside, and you can see the foot goes to the back of the trailer, so hopefully we can pull this insulation right here and gain access to that foot. Worst case, we're gonna pretty much have to undo these couple, and worst case, we end up just disassembling this thing and all the sheets that it came in, and it's just rivets. So I have a nice pneumatic rivet gun on the way to save my grip, because looking at this project, there are a lot of rivets, and I figured I'd be doing a lot of rivet work. And another tool that I ordered that I'm excited about is a nutsert riveter. So, but yeah, so if pulling this styrofoam here doesn't get us access, which we can see right now, it likely, let's see, I might be able to get in there with a wrench. Can I get in there with a wrench? Not really. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll pull these couple and then try and just peel this back a little bit without kinking it, and see if we can gain access to that, because we're gonna have to pull these anyway, so we're not losing anything. We got to pull this, so let's go ahead and do that now. So one thing you kind of see with the DIYs I was talking about the previous owner did, just the tube coming off the sink into the plastic tank. It's not the worst, but I'd like to make it leave here with something a little more permanent, a little more sealed. And you can see she leaks a bit. She's leaking from the drain, because I'm not even sure. We'll see what kind of fittings this tank has on it. It's kind of why I'm redoing the floor, and probably could have just laid a piece of aluminum over right here and just riveted it down or glued it down, but that wouldn't have been quality. And when people are paying for stuff, it's nice to do quality work. I take pride in it, so I don't want to send them out of here with, I don't want somebody to, if anybody ever has to work on this trailer again, to see work like that or anything like that with my name attached to it. So I'd rather just do it the right way and give people what they pay for. And as soon as that drains, then you can undo this connection here and undo that connection there, and then start lifting this thing off. Gotta center that, but got some rigging set up here, and then the lifting strap on the back will just go down the handles, This thing shouldn't weigh more than a couple 100 pounds. So, yeah, we'll just lift it off and then set it probably up there in the garage out of the way. And then we can get to the trailer floor. We'll leave that for now, and when we reinstall, we'll drill those and put new rivets in there. We got the last bit of it detached, all the rivets drilled out, and it's ready to come off. Now I just need to make room in the driveway. Yeah, she's not moving right now. I decided to rewire it, and then decided to start a new project. So, all right. So this is a 4-foot by 4-foot kind of a kit trailer. Northern Tool, Harbor Freight. They all sell a trailer just like this, and I mean eBay, wherever. They're usually like $300 or $400 trailers, but they come in a box, disassembled, and you put it together. And I mean, for what they are, a 4-foot by 4-foot trailer with a certificate of origin to go get your registration with, it's not that bad of a deal. But let's see, bolt together. There probably should be some sort of other bolt in here somewhere, but if you look, pretty flimsy. So what we're gonna end up doing is take away the kit aspect of it, at least for the future, and we're going to throw some welds on here in a couple spots just to help with its flexing and being held together, make it a little more rigid. We got a little bit of cleanup to do as well. Get that pipe off of there, punch out all of these remaining rivets, and then we'll just grind away a little paint and run some some beads and see if we can get her a little more solid. Alright, so I'm doing with the pipe clamp, as you can see, all the space in between here. So we're pulling it in tight, and then we're using the other clamp to clamp down this way. So we're just pulling her nice and tight like that. Pinch her down, and we'll just weld along there, and then that top piece right there, and keep going. All right, I got my cobbled together homemade metal brake. I ended up stealing a piece of 2-inch by 2-inch. I cut it off like right there, so I use it for something else, and now I've acquired more, but whatever. We got her sleeved up and on here. So we're just gonna try and get some clean bends. All right, here we go. It's the start. battery box is coming along quite well. Got the lid, rounded corners for legs and pants. I'll clean them up a little bit better. This will be the back here that will go against the cart. So right now I'm just trying to figure out the best method for attaching the lid. Easy answer is a hinge, but because this is flat up against the cart, when it hinges, it's going to go back into the cart. I don't want to put spacers here to make it stick out from the cart, so I want it to be tucked up nice and tight because that'll offer more support against the frame back here. So but pretty much all I did was just incorporate the fender and create a battery box. That gray water tank, there's, let's see if you can see in there, got those little spacers there, and then if you look at the tank, spin around, we've got those little cutouts, and they'll slide in here so to lock the front in, and then the back screws down. I got these nutserts installed, so that'll keep that from going anywhere, but the only access you'll have to this, unless you drill these rivets out like I did and decide you're going to replace them every time you went into here, which really wasn't that hard to do. But if you don't have those tools, the only access you'll have is from the rear. Let's see. I'm kind of a thin guy, and I can just barely get in here to do stuff. So I wouldn't want to, though, especially not if you're claustrophobic. Fortunately, I'm not. But so I want to make it nice and easily removable, where you can just reach in here with a Phillips screwdriver, get these two screws, and then, you know, if you need to, you can just grab this tank and pull it out. But coming up here, the GoPro got me again with the old time-lapse switch, but pretty much just explaining the tubes there. One in the rear is the vent, the one in the front is the drain off the sink. There's the drain for the tank itself. It's here we got the pump, and then the hoses, that's a cold water valve there. Then it goes down to the heater on the outside, and then back in, and there's the hot water valve there. Got a plug in there, nice waterproof one from Amazon, in case we ever have to remove that pump. Don't have to cut any wires. And then as we move around to the back here, we'll see the fuse box that I threw in there, just to play it safe, in case we have any shorts on the motor or anything else. And then I also threw in this little phone charger and 12-volt guy here. Alright, quick little addition I had forgotten about was a pump switch, just so you can turn the pump on and off. But now we have the battery hooked up, so we can see where it says 12.7, 12.8 bouncing back and forth. So now we can see what our battery is setting at volt wise. And then our on off switch for the pump right there. It's dry right now, so I'm not going to run it, but yep, let's finish buttoning this thing up. Yep, so there's a battery box. I intentionally built it larger than this battery. This is an 18 amp hour battery, but I put some closed cell foam in here to cushion it on the four sides and the underneath. May throw a piece on top too, but I built it bigger in case they ever wanted to go with a larger battery, larger amp hour battery. 18 should be plenty to run that pump. It's a 4 amp hour pump, so it should run, I mean, it could run continuously for 4 hours without taking this battery to 0% charge, because you can't and shouldn't take batteries to 0% charge. So and that's more important, not that it will run for 4 hours straight, but that you can, you know, go weeks in between having to charge this battery. And with the addition of this down here, one thing you can do is take your trickle charger and put a 12-volt cigarette lighter plug on it, like so, and plug your trickle charger into the wall, plug that in there, and then just turn this switch on. There we go. Turn that switch on, and then it will backfeed to the battery and charge it up for you. So, alright, so we've got the hoses hooked up respectively, and we put a little piece of tubing on there so that we're not rubbing against the tank with the PEX. And we have the drain hose installed to the aluminum tank. It's got a hose clamp on it, so now we're ready to put the clean water tank in here and get the top put back on. Where the old clamp on caster wheel was for the front, and what was happening was there was no way to remove it, and with it on, the trailer sat level, so when you hook it up to your car, that was only like 2 inches off the ground, so every time they'd hit a bump, that caster would hit the ground, which is A, gonna break the caster, or B, bend the tongue here. So what we did was removed it, and then we welded up a bracket, so now it comes on and off with this pin. Once this all dries, I'll bring it back in here and show you how it works. Alright, so now we're pulling these guys off. They were on here kind of crooked, not even, and they're kind of old and crusty, so we're gonna pull them off, clean this whole thing up, and then I've got some left over from my gooseneck build that we're just gonna slap back on here. Make it look a little bit nicer. Let's get this glue cleaned up and degrease that bottom panel and put the new stuff on. Alright, so got this drain here. Had to neck it down a couple times. But the point of it is, this is 3/4 inch PVC, which is more than plenty to drain this. I mean, you could drain it on a 1/4 inch, it'd just take longer. But I wanted to neck it all down to 3/4 inch anyway, because right here is 3/4 inch male threads. So that will fit right up to a garden hose. And because this will fit to a garden hose, now if you're at a venue and you need to drain your gray water tank, because it's just going to be soap and water from washing hands and whatnot, so if you need to drain your gray water, you could connect a hose from here, you know, down away from where your food cart is, and you can drain it into a, you know, wherever. Street drain, off into the grass by a tree. So, we got some new ball valves on there. Same on this side, goes 3/4 all the way up to our new aluminum tank. We got the gas lines all run. The shortest hose I could find, I needed a 24-inch hose, but pretty much for the same price, I ended up getting a 5-foot hose, which is 3 foot more than I needed, so it's now zip tied up there with heavy duty zip ties. This is the quick connect chuck for the addition of a griddle or another burner or whatever. This goes back to the pre-existing burners in the cart. And then we got it teed off here, and it goes to the regulator and then to the propane tank, like so. Get all my junk off of it, give it a quick wipe down, and it's about ready to go on its way. Alright, one of the last things I'm going to do to this cart is put some corrugated sheathing over this plug. That just gives you an extra buffer for rubbing, or if you accidentally let it hang on the ground. It's just one more little extra buffer before you get into the insulation in the wire. So I'm just going to throw this on here. Tape it up in a couple spots to keep it nice and tight. Then I'll show you my little trick. It's probably other people's little trick too, but all electrical tapes are not created equal. This is Scotch. It seems to be pretty good. 3M is my go-to. If 3M makes a product, I usually try and buy that because they might be getting a little flack for some earplugs right now, which I haven't personally had issues with. It's probably going to cost me my $6 if I ever join the lawsuit, but we might have to go get some bigger corrugation. Yep. Be right back. Got some big stuff. Hopefully not too big. But anyway. Alright, so when I get to the end, I'll do my wraps a couple inches from where I want to end the corrugation. And then I'll bring the tape up, and then that slit in the corrugation, I'll slide that over the tape, my couple of inches that I left, and then I'll start wrapping around the outside. You can even overlap it and pinch it down if you have something smaller like this, but you just wrap it back to the edge, nice and tight. And there you are, there's one end. And then we'll throw a zip tie on there too. And these flat edge cutters here, if you use like side cutters, often referred to as dikes, they're sharp on two edges, where these are only sharp on one edge. So you get a nice flat cut right here, and it's not sharp. Come to the end here. Same thing with our tape. Alright, so one thing the owners of this trailer brought to my attention is this used to be a clamp-on caster wheel. As I mentioned before, it was not removable. So when they would put it on their vehicle and it was setting level, which is ideal, this caster would hit the ground on every bump. And concern with that is, for one, damaging the caster, or two, completely bending this tongue, and if it were to break back here, there's no safety chains. Safety chains are up here. So you know, they had mentioned maybe doing like a swivel jack that you can pull the pin and swing it, and those are great. But this caster on this cart, when I first saw this cart, that was one of the things that impressed me the most. That is a very expensive and heavy duty caster right there, and it holds the cart level. So if you detach the cart from your vehicle and you're going to a venue in a park or just away from your vehicle, this cart is very, very mobile by hand. Instead of replacing that with a jack, which then would, you know, cost extra money as well, what I decided to offer them, no modifications to the tongue. So if it's something they don't like, they can just do away with it and go to their original idea. But we'll use this floor jack to insinuate hooked up to a vehicle. Now all you have to do is pull this pin. And there we have it in its stowed position. One last thing I'm going to throw in is a pin for this. Usually you want to lock that, but all right, one other thing I did was 3D printed, designed and 3D printed these. This is ABS and this is Nylex, some sort of nylon ABS mix. But I was having some layer issues. So this first black one here is the one with the layer issues, and then this next one you'll see is the white one, and that is my third attempt. Slowed the printer down a lot, and pretty much the layer issues have gone away, so I just had to slow it down a bit. It's turning out really nice. But, I mean, they'll suffice for now. Better than not having one. That pretty much buttons it up. Well, I think she's ready to go on her way, so guess it's time to call the owner and tell him to come grab it. Well, thanks for tuning in once again on the channel for the latest garage project. Had a lot of fun with this one. A lot of customization in these food carts, so might be something I try and get into in the future here. But I think this one turned out real nice. Definitely going to be a lot more useful than when it rolled into the garage. So I'm pretty excited for them. But yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you guys next time.